I don't know. I think the players, there's a silent protest because I remember Jean Morant even made statements why he didn't do the dunk contest. He kind of mentioned money. And I'm wondering if the players are aware of how much revenue is being made. And, LeBron James this weekend, he showed up. He wasn't dressed. He took photos with the team, didn't put on a uniform. There was a lot of kind of
Didn't
silent.
come to the side the sidelines.
Yeah, there was a lot of a lot of silent protests. A lot of silent
Yeah, it's
protests
gonna, dude.
going on.
It affected the league, because one of your biggest faces didn't participate, obviously, and
Hmm.
he didn't really give a heads up to replace him. He could have had a Norman Powell, Demontis, Sabonis, or Devin Booker replacing him.
Yeah, but again, we're seeing the league kind of dish out a lot of money to the players. What is it? $500,000 bonus for the in-season
Yeah,
tournament for making the finals. That's a game for the most part in the first 2 years. Most of the fans don't even care about. But the fact that the league still is making that much money to give extra to all the guys and coaches. I believe the coaches get paid too. So I think the
because
last
I
time we
mean, dude,
spoke on this, it was like almost $8 million added up total. But
I think but the in-season tournament's a lot different from the All-Star game because the All-Star game has established culture, right?
no, but
Like the
that's what I'm saying.
All-Star
The
game, we already
All Star game has more money being made that weekend
yeah,
than some in season tournament. But yet the league is making so much money that for a game that nobody really cares about, they're dishing out $8 million in bonus payments. That's kind of. Can you imagine how much the All Star weekend is really making?
oh, it's making a lot. I mean, we saw it. Like the advertisements were crazy that night.
Oh yeah, and then a lot of fans on social media that were at the game, they were posting the players just standing still because they were doing so many commercial breaks. It was so long, and
Yeah,
I'm telling you, this
yeah.
season it's been very noticeable, man. There's definitely a huge money play being made here, and I never really heard about the extra kickback going to the players.
I think one of the most interesting parts is Adam Silver talked about how we're more of an entertainment, or Mr. Beast kind of fits into like what we're trying to produce or make and promote. So I'm like, okay, the NBA does not see itself as just basketball. It sees itself as a global entertainment brand. And I think that's where kind of the disconnect's happening, right? Is a
Hmm.
lot of these players, they don't care about all that shit, about being that big of a brand.
I don't think it's that they do care because they love cashing in those checks.
They're not trying to move away from what made them into a megastar. They're not willing to stand in the core and kind of have like
I
Kevin
don't think
Hart
it's
do.
that. I don't think it's that. I think
I
there's
think
an
so.
issue with the revenue shared. There's a lack of transparency going on. I've seen way too many guys. Every time they mention a dunk contest, they mention All Star Weekend. I've seen way too many guys imply money. These are some of the highest paid guys in the league. They're still implying a payment. Why is Jean Morant still implying a payment for participating in the dunk contest? It doesn't make any sense.
Does
Especially
Zion even entertain it anymore?
Zion does not entertain it. I'm telling you, there's a silent protest going on. And, remember how we spoke about it before with LeBron trying to, you know,
Anthony Edwards never entertained taking part in the dunk contest
yeah,
either. To
but
be
but they
honest with
haven't. They haven't. But remember the last time we spoke, we said LeBron James kind of had, he has ambitions of owning a team. And I think this All-Star weekend was kind of silent protest of it because what he did this All-Star weekend was unprecedented for him being a league figurehead. He's been on his best behavior the whole time he's been in the league.
you, 22 years.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and right here, watch it, Stephen A. Smith. He implies something right here when he's talking to Kendrick Perkins and Shannon Sharp because he's interpreting this LeBron James not playing in a complete different way, and he's correlating it him gaining access to ownership. Let's just check it out real quick.
One of the greats, we understand it, clearly selfish on his part, and it's not a good look either. It really, really isn't.
And guess what? It wasn't a decision that just came out of nowhere. This was a calculated decision. LeBron James knew that he wasn't playing when they announced that he was going to be an all-star, and he did look selfish. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I get it. At the age of 40, his feet might be hurting. His ankles might be hurt. He might need the rest. But you don't do it that way. And in my personal opinion, this is just my opinion, nobody else's. I feel like that was a statement to Adam Silver and the rest of the league. At that point, when LeBron James does certain things to this nature, not putting on his jersey, being in the team photo in his street clothes, showing up to the All-Star weekend an hour before it starts to give that announcement, that was a statement. Now, what is he trying to say, or what is he trying to do to Adam Silver in the NBA? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I agree with both of you guys. It's not what you do, it's how he did it, and he handled that all wrong, and he definitely looked selfish.
Now, right there, Kendrick, you see all the little details he went over?
Yeah.
How LeBron showed up late, didn't put on a jersey here, made the announcement here. Kendrick is peeping the game, but right here, Stephen A. Smith, he kind of alludes to why LeBron is doing it, but first he tries to get the feeling if Kendrick Perkins had picked it up. Let's check it out.
Quick question to you, Big Perk. When you say LeBron James knew in advance, and he did this on purpose, since you brought it up, Perk, could you tell the audience why you think he did it on purpose?
I mean, listen, this wasn't just a sudden decision. LeBron James, this guy's like, when it comes down to routine and knowing what he's going to do, he's always on point. So when he announced yesterday that he said, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna be participating today in the All-Star game," I said to myself, "Bro, you knew that way when they announced you as an All-Star." Like, I mean, huh?
But why do you think he didn't tell us is what I'm asking you. Why do you think he handled it the way that he did? That's what I'm asking. If LeBron James, regardless of his partners and stuff like that, if LeBron James, who obviously deserves to be an owner in this league someday, Shannon, Big Perk, Molly, if he doesn't get it, look at moments like this as to why that is. You depart from Cleveland to Miami, the way you handled it. You spoke up against the play-in, the way you handled it. There's certain things in terms of player empowerment, the way you handled it. Yesterday, the way he handled it. Make no mistake, fair or unfair, folks are going to remember that. Mark my words.
Yo,
He's right.
yo,
He's
you
right.
see? And here's one thing I want to say, because we're in an era now of a lot of transparency. LeBron James has held a lot of power in the NBA for the past 20 years. And it can't be really far-fetched to think that behind the scenes, he's seen how much money, or he has an estimation of how much money is being made during All-Star weekend. How much money has been made with the play-in tournament or the in-season tournament. Remember, he protested these things, and some of these games don't even count in the history books. I think some of the play-in games don't even count. The stats don't count. Same thing for the in-season tournament. There's certain games that the numbers are kind of, I think the numbers for the final game don't really count in the history books. But there's money being made there, and LeBron has protested both those things. So very interesting, man. Remember, we were early on this, man. We're the only ones really talking about this. LeBron James said he wanted to be an owner. We're hearing Maverick Carter. All of a sudden, he's speaking to, sovereign money, and they're trying to formulate another league. While during the same week, the league had announced that they had plans to do an international league. This is strange, man. This is really strange.
Yeah. I think what we're gonna see, it's gonna be in the music industry, we've seen it before where the artists are beefing with the record label. We're gonna see that with basketball players now with the age of transparency, because you look at it now, man, basketball has become like, look at the amount of collaborations the NBA is doing itself with other media partners, right? Because we know the Amazon deal that just went through, and obviously the net series with Netflix, ESPN. The money is pouring in, bro.
Yep, the money is pouring in, and the money is
pouring in.
It's pouring in, and it's being disguised at the same time. Remember, we recently seen Luka get traded and lose out on over $100 million because the other team was kind of iffy about, his contract situation. They were kind of scared of formulating a team around him and paying luxury tax every year. So now that has cost him $100 million without him even asking for a trade. And also, let me add this onto this.
Yeah.
The new CBA, the new agreement between the players union and the owners, it's very tricky. It's very, very tricky. We see Brandon Ingram take a pay cut in the Raptors. And the way the
Yeah.
owners
Oh,
had, the way the owners have constructed this agreement, a lot of things are disguised. First of all, they're saying that the players have more revenue than the owners do. I think they're at
that's
51
bullshit.
or every 50. Yeah, they're at either 51 or 52%, which looks good on paper. But the reality is, you look at all the other rules that they put in. They put in the fact that what is it, the player participation policy, which is a team policy, which only the owners can vote. Now, if you don't play 65 games with the 65 game rules, guys are not eligible for awards, and those awards are tied to players' contracts. Once you qualify for those awards or you obtain it, you actually qualify for certain super maxes. And at
And
the same time,
bonuses and all that stuff.
yeah, and at the same time, on top of all this, they made it very hard to give someone a large contract and construct a team around that player. Because now the owners are going to be like, oh, we don't want to dip into the luxury tax. Oh, we don't want to be limited if we're in the luxury tax. Now we can't make all these little moves. They've constructed the league really tight around paying somebody some money. That's why we see Jimmy Butler going back and forth with Pat Riley. Pat Riley didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
That's why we've seen Julius Randle, his contract negotiations up in the air. We've seen Brandon Ingram take a pay cut. A lot of the middle tier players outside
Bro,
of
he's only getting.
yeah, wait, hold on. Outside of Stephen Curry and LeBron James, if you're not one of those guys, for you to get paid in this league, things are going to get funny. Even if you have Luka's resume, if they have questions about you, they might not want to dip into those penalties in order to pay you.
Also, Laurie Markkinen is another good example he could use. He was forced to sign that extension.
Oh yeah,
with
exactly.
Utah.
Yeah, Laurie Markkinen is another
Yeah.
person. He qualified
He's
for the
another
money.
example.
He's productive, but yet teams are hesitant about paying these
To
guys.
sign him.
Yeah, and we never seen this before. We've seen guys that don't even have this type
Never.
of level of production under the old
Dude.
CBA rules get paid with no
Get paid.
hesitation.
And it was crazy. And I'm like, man, Brandon Ingram only got paid. We were talking about it last time, is how the Raptors would make it work, and getting Ingram and obviously Barnes got paid, and
Mhm.
Barrett's affordable contract and all that stuff. But I looked at this extension. I'm like, man, per season he's only gonna make $5 million more than Emmanuel Quickly for a second
Exactly.
overall pick and a player in his prime, because he's 27 only. That's
Exactly.
a fucking
Exactly, and
that's a cheap contract.
yep, and I believe it's not just the Luka trade. The players are starting to wake up, because a lot of the players, and I don't fault them, they don't take their union as serious. And I knew something was up when I heard that they came to an agreement so fast. I'm like, whoa. They came into agreement that quick? There's a lot of money at stake the next 10 years. But then I saw the revenue. Oh, the players are getting more revenue. But then I started to see the limitations. Oh, in order to get all NBA, you have to play X amount of games. If you don't qualify for it, then they could almost Tyrese Halliburton you. Remember last season? He almost didn't get that supermax. He had to play through an injury in order to get the supermax. But under the old rules, he would have got the supermax. You see, they
supermax
they've
mid-season.
crafted this whole agreement very funny, where now owners have excuses not to pay players. Oh, we don't want to dip into the apron. Oh, we're gonna be limited on who we could build around the players. Like look at the Phoenix Suns as a prime example. They have all these large contracts, right? But yet they're stuck. They can't make any moves, because now when you spend money, it penalizes the teams. And I think the owners have carefully crafted, with the help of the media, to say, hey, we don't want the rich guys, collecting all the championships, when it's really not about that. They've designed it in a way to say, hey, this is quote unquote parity, but in reality, we've designed it where if any owner tries to spend a lot of money, now we have safeguards to not make sure that happens. And now it makes it harder for players to collect that 51% revenue versus the owner's percentage. Like, what would have happened? Wait, let me ask you a question. What would have happened if Tyrese Halliburton was really hurt? He couldn't even get on the court last season, and he did not qualify for his supermax. Where does that money go? Who saves on that
They
money?
would have lowballed it.
Exactly, but the owner saves that money. It's not like the owner would be like, oh,
the owner saves some money.
The owner would have never been like, oh, Andrew Nemhard, we're gonna give you a bigger deal, or who's the guy who hit the winning shot against the Knicks that got the new contract. On the
Andrew
Pacers.
Nimrod.
Yeah, him or Obi Toppin. They would have never passed down
Obi Toppin.
Tyrese Halliburton's money to them. It would have went right back to the owners, man. I'm telling you,
Yeah, 100%.
it is a
Bro.
100% finesse. And you know, remember, these guys are billionaires. They have teams of lawyers who understand contract language. And I think over the next few years, the players, they're gonna realize if you're not Stephen Curry, if you're not LeBron, you might you might be in the Brandon Ingram category where you're gonna end up coming off your rookie contract and barely getting a raise.
Dude, the thing is, you look at it, man. Basketball for a lot of billionaires, it's a hobby. This is not something they look at it as we're gonna make our living off of, and they're not that committed. It's a luxury toy for them, right? And you don't want to spend a lot on a hobby. Nobody wants to spend a lot of money on a hobby where it actually makes a dent in their paychecks. So the whole idea of a supermax, I don't know if we're gonna see a player really hit that supermax at this point. I thought Luka would be the first one.
He was
Maybe
supposed to
Jason
be.
Tatum.
He was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Him and Tatum.
Tatum will probably get it, but we're not gonna see Luka and like John Morant's futures in the questions. Who knows? Because I've seen reports of that. I take it with a grain of salt, but also that's an interesting timing.
Wait, hold on.
that
Wait, that's a
people
good
within-
point. That's a good point you brought up right there. Morant's contract is that coming up? Because again, the owners have to make decisions on these top picks, right? Once they hit the 7 to 10 year mark, are they going to pay these guys 70 million plus per year? And it's not even the money. The money's not really the issue. It's what comes with the money. That means now ownership has to actually say, hey, are we now going to dip into the luxury tax every single season because we gave Ja Morant a large contract? That's really the question they have to ask themselves. Look at the Phoenix Suns. They are set up right now to pay over $150 million every single season for a mediocre team.
Yeah. And they don't want to pay that shit, right? Because, like I said, they view basketball as a hobby, a fun hobby. You don't want to keep paying for a quote-unquote fun hobby. That's just what it all comes down to. And, you know, we talked about it many times, but I think the way the money is going to be handled now in basketball, I don't know what Grant Williams and CJ McCollum's thought process was throughout the negotiations, but I feel like they shot themselves in the foot with this deal.
They definitely did. I think, wow, it seems like it was rushed, but seems like it was hidden underneath a lot of contract language. And keep in mind, the player, I don't want to say player participation. What's the other rule? The 65 game rule. That rule is actually not up to the players to vote on. It's actually the owners made it into a team rule where the owners were the only ones to vote on that. And that rule, low key, I don't understand why the players were not attached to it, because it has a lot of consequences in regards to their contracts. If guys don't play 65 games, they can't make all NBA. They can't get awards. Those awards are attached to getting the Supermax or just a different kind of max, you know, the different levels of max contracts. And that right there is just, I'm like, wow, this league has been very carefully crafted to get out of that LeBron James player movement. Oh, I'm in control of my career. They're trying to get out of that. They're trying to get out of that for years.
They're trying to be more in control. They're trying to get in more control. And I mean, look at a guy like Joel Embiid, right? Last year he had a really good season, but I don't think he made any All NBA teams last year, because he missed a handful of games.
Correct. And basically,
and he had a crazy season.
Yeah, basically under these new rules, let's just say if these rules were implied 4 years in advance, Joel Embiid, number one, the extension he has now, he would have never qualified for it. And number two, that MVP,
he wouldn't have a Hall of Fame career, man.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have that Hall of Fame career he has.
His career would be completely different. No MVP, no max, super max deal. He would have never had none
All-Star
of that.
selection.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. The owners very carefully had crafted players' contracts based off of their health and also based off excuses. We're hesitant about paying you. Luka, you're not quite in shape. We don't want to pay $150 million luxury tax every season because we're paying you $70 million a year. Then we got to pay Kyrie on his extension. Then we have other guys we have to pay. We don't want to pay all that money every single season and then other teams eat off that revenue. Like, this is the way the owners have constructed the league. And I'm telling you, the players are about to wake up to it. They're about to get hip to it real fast. And it wouldn't shock me if they opted out of this agreement between the union and the owners very early.
No, no, it's gonna affect a lot more pockets. I mean, dude, I'm kind of wondering what Julius Randle's situation will be when he comes out this Minnesota contract.
He's
And
gonna get lowballed, and
kind
it
of look at
sucks.
he's
I already
getting
see it.
lowballed, and because we've seen Laurie get lowballed, we've seen
Ingram.
Ingram get lowballed. We're seeing a lot of guys who were once highly touted players get lowballed, and he's also in that same category of those guys, slightly better, but still in similar categories. And we don't know what his situation will be.
Yeah, Ingram, the fact that he accepted that price, now how the league really tends to work, especially with negotiations, they're gonna go, oh, he puts up similar numbers to you. Oh, he got this deal. So now they're gonna start the negotiations at that price. That kind
And
of
he's more
sucks.
reliable than you too. That's
Yeah.
also going to play a factor. Oh, Ingram, you're not on the court.
Yeah, it's just, man, and it's crazy because the way Randall has been playing before they traded him, he would have got that contract easily under the old rules. He would have got that extension real
100%.
early.
You know, he would have been under contract by the time he got traded into Minnesota, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it would have been a sign and trade under the old rules. But now,
Yeah.
the way the rules are, if you have a Ja Morant, if you have a Anthony Edwards, if you have a Luka, a SGA, if you have these players and you pay them the supermax, now it's set up for you to say, oh, you know, I'm not sure if we want to do that because we're not gonna pay 150, you know, $80 million, $60 million a year in luxury tax. You know,
You know,
it's
speaking of
real tricky.